So I'm getting ready to teach a private mentorship down here in South Florida, and I want to talk about the common answer that I hear, which is, oh, well, it depends, right? As some form of information of providing some sort of direction. Well, that provides no direction. That's not an answer. That is the start of an answer. So when we really look at training from a decision-making process, say all of us trainers, strength coaches, we have a decision-making process that gets us from thinking about what we're going to do to actually implementation, practical implementation, and we deal with practical challenges. So you have to give answers that provide a practical direction, and saying it depends gives you nothing. You got to get down the road somewhere. So tell me how you're getting down the road. So that's my problem with that answer. Tell me what it depends on. So don't answer me like that and cut it there. It's not a start, it's not an answer, it's a start to a conversation or an answer. Now that, in that regard, when it comes to our thought process of what it depends on, when you look at it that way, from that perspective, everything in training is black and white. Now let me pause for a second so people don't understand what I mean by that statement. I don't mean that this method versus that method or things are mutually exclusive in training. I don't mean it's black and white that way. I don't mean that it's either bodybuilding or powerlifting or 3D training or yoga versus Pilates and all these things. No, those are methods. They're not mutually exclusive. They can be used as tools in a trainer's toolbox. I don't mean black and white in that regards, this versus that. I also don't mean black and white in regards to if you're doing heavyweight, you have to only do heavyweight, you can't do some lighter weight for higher reps. Both of those can create hypertrophy. I don't mean that either. Now, let's bring it back. What I mean by everything in training is black and white in regards to how are you getting down the road. So we all have a reason for doing what we're doing. And in that regard, it becomes very black and white. Okay, well, what does it depend on? Well, whether I do barbell back squats, for example, depends on whether the person has shoulder external rotation enough to get the bar behind their neck to where I want to place it. Depends on whether they have the ankle dorsiflexion enough to keep a torso position that I want. They're not bent over too far forward. Whatever your standards are, that could be some sort of movement standard that you use. Maybe it's more general about programming. Well, if their goal is to maximize muscle hypertrophy and focus mainly on their arm size, then I'm going to try to get more volume dedicated throughout the week, more sets per the muscle groups in the arms than any other muscle group, because there's seems to be a dose response to exercise. Well, that's pretty damn black and white. Now, so when you start talking about what it depends on and you start going down the decision-making process enough and you start getting down the road, you find everything that you do is black and white. If I see this, then the next question I ask is, what about this? And then when I get an answer to that, and it starts to go from a wide view down to, here's the exact program I have you do. So that's the approach that I take. I kind of reverse engineer it and say, look, if it's in this situation, here's why I made these decisions. And those decisions are extremely black and white. Here's why I did not do this and did not use this method and did not set up the workouts like this. Here's why I set it up like this, with this sets and reps, with this scheme, with this split, whatever it is. And that is very black and white. Now, the best educators you've had in your life, certainly the best I've had in my life, are the ones that provide you such black and white answers. Because otherwise you can't get down the road. You can't just give people philosophical bullshit and say those kind of things. It doesn't help you get down the road. If I'm a receiver and I'm on a football team and the coach says, well, it depends on what route you run, depends on what defense they do. Well, okay, coach, then tell me which route I'm going to run for each type of defense. Otherwise, I don't know where to go. So that's my problem I have with this whole answering as if saying, oh, well, it depends and nothing in training is black and white. Bullshit. That helps nobody get down the road, right? Help people get down the road. So we have a little saying. It don't mean a thing if it don't help you swing. All right? So what's going to help people swing? All right? So you have to commit to answers if you're going to be an educator, and us trainers are educators to our clients. Then you have to provide black and white answers. However, you don't just jump to that and not provide the logic chain, backtrack it to understand how you went from the it depends situational to asking yourself certain questions to narrow the field, to go, well, if I see this, then I look to this. And if I look to this, then I look to this. And after we get A, B, C, D, whatever it is, then we decide we're going to go here based on your goals, your medical limitations, your individual ability, things that you like, things that you're going to do, things you're going to get excited about, whatever. All those things start to narrow the field and tell us what it depends on. And once we get all that information, things start to write, programs start to write themselves. And that's where you have to commit to answers. Otherwise, it doesn't mean a thing because you're not helping anybody swing. A stupid saying, but I like it. So anyway, that's my little commentary for today before I go teach this mentorship, where I'm going to provide extremely black and white answers based on situations. If we're working with this type of client and this presents here and they have this type of goal and they like this type of thing and this is their medical history, then we're going to most likely move in this direction. Now, do I have multiple options? If that doesn't work based on the training environment, maybe we don't have those pieces of equipment I want to use and it's their training at home, then we'll go here. But you see, that's still very black and white. That's the only way to help people get down the road. And the best coaches out there that you'll ever have, the best teachers, will commit to answers and provide you black and white answers, but they won't just jump to the black and white. They'll provide the explanation of where it started from, it depends, and they'll tell you what it depends on.